Welcome to this demonstration that will show you how to use Erwin's Agile Enterprise Architecture platform as a framework to manage your portfolio of IT business systems. Erwin's Agile EA platform is a software as a service web-based tool that delivers a rapid path to achieving value from your investments. It supports multiple modeling methodologies that allow you to create catalogs of parts and components from which to create multiple views and diagrams on which to perform your analyses. The content that is held in a robust repository which is based on a protected and managed cloud-based database. Access to the content is through a simultaneous multi-user flexible licensing based system which uses 3 types of different users and 1 administrator. Given the fact that this is a multi-user environment, collaboration amongst the multiple users is also supported. An issue with a lot of current enterprise architecture tools is that they're all thick client. Erwin's EA tool is 100% SaaS cloud-based, accessed through the web through any device capable of understanding simple URLs. And content is presented in a variety of multiple visualizations, so for example as diagrams, roadmaps, charts, Kanban views, etc. And this all provides for an engaging and pleasurable experience. The out-of-the-box methodologies and frameworks are easily customizable to support your specific needs through an easy-to-use meta model editor. So what actually is APM? APM, or Application Portfolio Management, is a practice that seeks to measure, compare, and justify the value and relative importance of the individual business systems whilst taking into consideration their costs of maintenance, operations, and ownership. And the intention is that it provides managers with an inventory of the company's software applications and metrics on which to base the benefits of each application. In this demonstration, what you're going to see is how application portfolio management as a practice is used to show the interdependencies between business systems, business capabilities, and their supporting infrastructure to reveal opportunities for reducing costs and risks by identifying low-performing and low-value applications, and thereby identifying applications which are of strategic importance and the ones that we should really be investing our time and effort in. And the process, or the 4 question areas that we're going to be asked, are split up into these 4 that we can see here. So the process that we're going to be following is basically broken up into 4 key activities. In the first step, what you're going to do is we're going to build capability models, and what these are is a visual representation of the business's capabilities. In the second step, we're going to catalog the assets. That is to build catalogs of the applications and their underlying supporting technologies, including the life cycles, and map these back to the business capabilities. In the third step, what we're going to do is we're going to understand the characteristics of the application components to measure and gather issues and our future desires for them. In the fourth step, what we're going to do is to use the capability models to perform analyses to identify potential areas for focus for capability improvement through application rationalization and development. And as part of that, what we're going to do is we're going to visually display and share that information with our peers, and so that we can understand the applications, the capabilities, and the technologies that are impacted by any proposed changes, and publish that information as the results and the actions to be taken. So what actually is a capability model? Well, this is a technique for the representation of an enterprise's operating model that is independent of its structure, independent of its processes, independent of its people and any other domains. And it's an approach that is inherently stable and therefore provides a sound basis on which to map the enterprise's operations and its technology architectures. So in the Erwin EA platform, we already have an existing capability model. And let's go and take a look at the existing one, and we can do that by looking at the available diagrams in our repository. And the particular one we're interested in here is the Arch Insurance capability map. So let's open that up. And as you can see in here, what we've got is a number of high-level capabilities, for example, product marketing and sales, which each decompose into product marketing, and they decompose into sales, and one over here for customer care happens to break down into a number of sub-capabilities. So the idea here is that we're showing nested capabilities which are hierarchically organized in a landscape type of view. And of course, we can go in and take a look at the individual capabilities, and we can go in and take a look at the details and the characteristics of that particular capability. So in here, for example, for our claim management, we have got a description of the capability, and we've also got some specific attributes that have been captured in here. And an important one here is to notice the supported applications, and we'll come on to that later on as we go through some of the demonstration. And of course, we've got some cost information, etc. So the idea here is that we can capture the capabilities and show them in a nested view, and also show the attributes that we've got in here. Now, of course, these attributes that we've captured, not only are they capturing the information, but they're also a way for us to be able to use those. And you may be familiar with the idea of heat maps, and we can create queries which are based on the capabilities and their particular attributes, and ask questions of those attributes and display the results on our screen. So, for example, if we were to look at the important business capabilities view, and we click on that smart query, we can see that here are the capabilities highlighted to show that they are important to the business. In the same way, we can also look at those capabilities which we think are the ones that are underperforming in the marketplace, and we can show those also in our views in here. We now have a capability map that we can use as a basis for performing subsequent analyses and investigations, and especially for the use as part of the application portfolio management exercise. The next step in the process is to catalog the collections of applications and add them to the repository of assets. Now, obviously, whilst these can be entered manually into our repository, we can also very quickly and easily add them using a bulk import of application components. Now, I'm not going to show you how to do a bulk import. We're going to assume that that has now been conducted, and now what we're going to do is to show you a demonstration of how the applications that are being imported, how we can work with those. And let's take a look at the applications that we have imported. And so over here we've got a list of the different types of objects that we've got in our repository, and we can filter that either by types or by names, etc. But I've also created a small query which will filter through for the application components. And here now is a filtered view of just the application components. And again, we can do a further filter and say, yes, I'm interested in my particular application here. And so we've got an application component that has been imported in, and we can take a look at that and see the details for that. And so again, for the application, we've got a description, and this confirms the fact that this has been imported in through a CSV file import. But we've also got information about the attributes, or rather about the application and the attributes that it has. And in here we're able to see that this has now been assigned to a particular tier A application. The application owner has not yet been identified, but we can certainly go in and add a person into there. So we can select myself as being the application owner, and etc. So we can capture the details about the application and the attributes for use subsequently. And of course, let's go in and save that prior to exiting the application details. Now, as you have seen, the application components that we've imported and their attributes are available for us to use, and there is a certain amount of information that has been populated in there, and out of the box there is a predefined set of attributes that you can use. Obviously, there may be other attributes that you may want to use, and here is an example of other attributes which other people have also decided to use and add into their models. But of course, you're not limited to just what is available out of the box. You can customize and edit the meta model to support those, so that you can also add your own custom attributes in there if you require. Now that you have a catalog of the capabilities and the applications, you're now in a position to be able to marry the two up together. So the next step in the APM process is to map the applications to the capabilities that they support. So now that we have a catalog of the capabilities and applications, we're in a position to be able to tie the two together. And this can be done visually and interactively through a diagram. So if you go to our list of diagrams that's available, we've already created a diagram with some capabilities in there. And so here we can see that we've got our claim management capability plus the product capability for product fulfillment capability plus a manager customer relationship capability. And what we're able to do is to drag and drop a symbol onto here, and we can start searching through the repository for existing assets or to create some new assets that we've got in here. And as soon as I start typing in here, we can see that it's identifying by filtering the existing application, so we can select the one that's already in there. Of course, if you wanted to add a new one into there, we do also get the option to be able to create a new application as well. But we're not going to do that in this example. So let's select this new application. We can see in here that we've got the application plus the capabilities. Now it's very easy here to create the relationships between these. So if I select our application and say yes, we want to relate it to the claim management capability, we can draw a relationship between the two. And what this is doing is it's actually creating a relationship which is stored as part of the repository. And once we save the diagram, it means that that particular relationship between those objects is going to be stored, so that whenever we see the my new application plus the claim management capability and that relationship between them is supported on a particular diagram, then you will see that particular relationship being made visible for us to see. And so what's actually been happening, as soon as we had saved the diagram, in the background behind for the capability, as we scroll down here, we would be able to see in here that the my new application has been added into the list of supported applications. So that means that that definition within there stores that relationship information, which means then that if we were ever to remove this node, so remember, we're removing the node, not actually deleting it, and even if we were to save that, and if we were now to re-add the application back into there and click onto that, the relationship gets added into there automatically for us. And so in this way we can start proceeding to populate the models with the information of the relationships to the other capabilities in there as well. And save. The next step in the APM journey is to perform assessments of the applications and to use those, for example, to create scorecards. Now, whilst we can have some simple score attributes, we can also perform complex algorithmic roll-up calculations. Whilst we're here looking at a new application, one of the attributes that I wanted to show to you in particular is to do with the technical suitability index scores that we can calculate for the applications. And remember, what we were saying earlier is that these attributes can be built in and customized specifically for your needs if you wanted to. In our example, what we've done is we've built up a custom attribute which is looking at the business suitability index, and this is a compound score which is built up of 3 attributes. So we have a user feedback score, an average functional fit, and incidence times severity per year index or score on here, and we're combining those so that we take the feedback score, add the average functional fit, add the incident severity score divided by 3, and we get this suitability index. So this is a business suitability index score that we're getting, and as I was saying, this is quite interactive, so once we change any of the individual attributes in there, the overall suitability index score gets changed in here. So this is an application score that we've got. And in exactly the same way, we've also got a technical suitability index score, and what that's doing is it's looking at the technical debt, the technology debt, and the technical maturity model index in here, and combining that by taking the technical suitability minus the technical debt minus the technology debt to give an overall score in here. And we can use these types of business suitability and technical suitability indexes to help us to rank and score the individual applications that we've got against each other, so that we can determine which ones we should really be investigating and investing our future efforts in. So you've seen how we can score the applications to perform assessments. However, as part of the assessment, we also need to understand what the aspirational and operational planned life cycles are for our applications. And by that, what we mean, what are the current plans for the applications? Are they something which we're going to be investing in, or we're going to be retiring at some point in time? And what existing projects are there which exist, which are having an impact on those applications? So as part of the assessment step of the applications, we want to capture the aspirational and operational planned life cycles. And we can visualize the life cycles as a roadmap for any given application. And so in our example, if we take a look at our claim data management application, we can see that we have a roadmap view which shows the life cycle for when the application is going to be live. And it's indicating on here that at some point in time in 2016 is when it's going to become live, and it's going to complete at some point in time in the future in 2019. So for our applications, we can show the life cycles content and show that as a visualization. And one of the nice things about the tool set, the Erwin EA platform, is that we can go in there and we can adjust the actual life cycle start and end dates, either as a complete block or individually by going to the endpoints and adjusting the actual life cycle points on there. For example, like that. Now, not only can we understand the applications, but we also need to understand the underlying technology that supports those applications. And so we need to understand the dependencies of the applications and their technologies. And we need to understand the metrics and the scores and life cycles on their technologies. And again, we can relate these back to the applications. Now that you have captured information about the capabilities, the applications, and their underlying technologies, you're now equipped to use all of the available information and their relationship dependencies to start producing some analyses and scores to help identify potential areas, i.e. business capabilities, and specific applications that warrant detailed investigation for action. And at your disposal, you have a number of different types of visualizations, for example, as charts and as pivot tables, etc. And you're going to see a few examples of the types of available views that you have available for you to use. So let's go and take a look at some of the charts which are available for us. And we've created a number here for us to use already. And if we take a look at the application assessment and for claim validation, and this is a stacked bar chart view which is looking at the functional quality, the business criticality, risk profile, technical quality, and these have all been stacked up to show the overall score for a particular application. And as we look over here and go towards the right hand side, we can see that our claim handling application as an overall stacked bar chart score is not scoring very well. Similarly, if we take a look at our application lifetime costs, again, this is a stacked bar chart, we can see which one of our applications has got the overall highest lifetime costs, and maybe those are applications that we want to go in and investigate. And the third and final example that I wanted to show you is if you recall the technical suitability index and the business suitability index calculations that we had performed as part of the applications, we can perform a scatter chart view of those technical indexes and business indexes and get an understanding of the relative positioning and ranking of some of these applications. So we can see here a spread of the applications, and we can see everything that is over here on the right hand side. So for example, a call center application that's got a high business suitability and a high technical suitability, which means that it's well constructed and it fits in with the needs of the strategic requirements of the business. Whereas if we look at applications which are positioned to the bottom left hand, we can see that they have a low business suitability index and a low technical index, which means that they're not necessarily of strategic importance and they are of poor quality in terms of their build, and maybe they are applications that we should really be looking at retiring or removing from our portfolio. Now, not only can we have these type of charts, but we can also have pivot reports as well. And these are very much like a Microsoft Excel type of reports. And so one of the views that we can look at in here is cost by vendor, for example. And this is showing a pivot table of the relative cost of the application sorted and organized by the vendors that we've got. And a final report that we want to look at in here is the usage or the user license usage costs. And this is just a report showing the costs of the licenses and their relative costs, but also highlighted using a heat map type of approach to indicate areas of interest. Now, as a result of the analysis that we have performed, the assessment of the individual applications relates back to the capabilities, and we can use that as a way to identify potential issues across the entire landscape. So this shows us the systems that have high technology debt, for example, or show capabilities that have low satisfaction scores. And we can overlay the capabilities with the application scores that we've got and show heat maps against them. And they help us to identify the potential capabilities across the whole of the landscape that we should really be focusing on. So now that we have some basic information and assessment of the applications, we can relate that content back to the capabilities and to see the impact of the performance of the applications against the performance of the capabilities. And one of the ways that we can do this is, again, by using heat maps and visualizations and by running smart queries. And there are a number of different types of smart queries that we can run. We can run some simple ones. So for example here, if we want to look at capabilities that are supported by applications with a low business suitability, i.e. just one attribute, we can run that query against the heat map here, and we can see on the heat map diagram that there are a number of applications which have got low scores and they're impacting particular capabilities. We can also run slightly more complicated queries. So for example, if we want to look at capabilities that are supported by applications that are supported by out of support technologies, and when we run this query, again we get the heat map indicators showing us on the diagram here that there are certain capabilities that are being impacted. As part of the assessment of the applications, we also want to look at some of the costs associated with the applications for a given capability. And one of the key techniques that we can also use here is for cost analysis is to do a roll-up of the cost associated with applications and roll up those costs into an aggregated cost against a particular capability. And here is an example of one cost which is rolled up against a particular capability. And so we have, if we look down further in some of the attributes down here, an aggregated cost here, which is looking at the supported application costs. And what this is essentially telling us is that for this capability, there are a number of applications which are supporting it. Each one of those applications has got its own costs, but those costs have been proportioned and aggregated and rolled up to give us an overall cost. And so if this is a capability which has got a high cost to support, it may be another area in which, or another confirmation for us as to why we should be looking at this particular capability. So relatively speaking, this particular capability has got a cost score of 922,000 units of currency, and it's something that maybe is another pointer as to this capability warrants further investigation for us. Now we have a lens by which to compare systems and identify gaps and redundancies. So what we're now going to do is to look on any one of those individual capabilities and take a look at the applications that support that, and take a look at the application life cycles that support that particular capability. And what we've got over here is a quick bookmark which will give us a list of the applications which support that particular capability. And we're interested in taking a look at the live applications roadmap. And so we can see here that the current life cycle for the applications and the current life cycle or lifetime point of time is shown here. But there was some point in time in the past where we had an application, so for example it was our bank application here, and there were all of these applications which had come into play, and there was a gap where there was no functionality being provided by those applications to support the business capability, and obviously that would have been of some concern at that point in time. Similarly, we've got now an indication of which applications have been come into play, which have been taken out of play, which are not live anymore, and the balance of the ones that we have actually got live as well. Now, if we were to take a look at some of the additional queries that we can run on here, we may be interested in looking at those applications which are scoring low on the functional quality. And if we use a smart query to help us identify some of those, we can see that we've got the call center manager, which is scoring low for functional quality. Let's also ask the question about the business criticality, how important these applications are to the needs of the business. And again, okay, we've got claim handling. And again, if we ask the question for the application score technical quality, and again we can see that our banking system and our home and away policy administration systems also score low for the technical quality. So again, it's saying for a particular capability we can focus in on the applications which are supporting that, and then we can start making suggestions as to our aspirations and our intent for those particular applications. So now, based on our analyses and investigations and costs associated with the capabilities, we can take a look at the individual applications and recommend any lifecycle state changes, i.e. what would we like to do with the applications? Are we looking to retire those or to develop those, to invest in those, etc.? And we can use our planning roadmaps to help us to understand what the life cycle state changes are for the applications which are supporting a particular capability area. So we can see in here that there are a number of applications which are in a proposed state. There are some which are currently being phased out, and the claim handling is one of those in there. But notice here we've also got a new application, and that application could be brought in to satisfy or replace the functionalities which are going to be excluded or are going to be missing as we proceed. Now this view here is not just a static view, but it's also dynamic in the respect that we can drag and drop my new application into the status to say that it's actually in development. And what that does, it sets the attribute for the application to say yes, it's going to be something in development. And so that will be an indicator for that application to show that it's going to be supporting new capabilities to replace those which are going to be phased out. And so we've got this Kanban view, which is very, very easy to visualize what the current situation is for the life cycles of our applications. Finally, the information that we've got and the assessments and the decisions that we've made, we need to share that with the broader community. And the information that we've got on our application portfolio can be made available to the various communities of users via the web portal. And we can request the reviewers to participate and comment on the models and the findings and the suggestions and recommendations that we have, and basically get the broader community involved and using the content so that we can collaborate with them as the projects that are going to be implemented proceed. So now that we have some suggestions and recommendations for actions to be taken against our applications, either our new ones or the existing ones, before we make any final decisions or commitments, we can invite others to collaborate within our findings. And one of the ways that we can do this is to make comments and ask them to be involved in this. And so, for example, here I could ask one of our collaborators here, and this could be Steve Jones, and we can ask him to please take a look at this. And as soon as I commit that, it will send an email to Steve Jones asking them to come in and take a look at the content in here. So we can collaborate with our peers, our contributors, our users, and any stakeholders that we've got to take a look at the information that we've, or the decisions before we take any final actions on those. So you've seen here that the business capability model approach provides a mechanism and a way by which we can have technology independent conversations with our consumers and our stakeholders. And the use of standardized lists of assets through a standardized web portal interface means that the information is available to everybody to use simultaneously. And the capability lens approach provides for the identification of gaps and redundancies. And the structured methods that we've used for the analysis of the applications provide a standardized way by which we can use the content to make information available and to perform the assessments in there. And this particular approach means that the IT itself is not standalone, that it is actually connected with the needs of the business problems and is addressing the business needs rather than just standing in isolation. And the intention of the demonstration here was to show you how the content is held in a single robust central environment that becomes the online go-to place for all information needs for all of your consumers. And the information which is held and captured in there is available so that we can analyze and visualize that information, i.e. we can dice it and slice it in different ways to analyze it and make use of the content in there. And the standardized methodologies and approach provides for a consistent approach that everybody can use. But of course, this particular approach can also be customized to support the needs of your particular enterprise. And this provides a rapid time to value, which is one of the key deliverables and benefits of using the software as a service ERwin EA platform.